Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AFTERBUZZ TV fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the Blindspot AFTERBUZZ TV After Show. We are covering Episode 3, 8 Slim Grins. And with me tonight is the wonderful Stephanie Garrett.
Hey, guys.
What's your Twitter?
I am at StephanieG3360 on Twitter and Instagram, and Stephanie Garrett 3360 on YouTube.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. The wireless hates us this evening, so unfortunately we won't be able to watch the live chat. But we are looking at the Twitter hashtag that is ABTVBlindspot. So if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to say something that would get a shout out on air, tweet us at that hashtag, and you may well be read out on air.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of this episode?
I thought it was really good. It's getting good now.
It is. I love that
real
everything builds into the overarching plot now.
And we now know who she is. Or so we think.
Okay, let's just go right to this. It's the very last thing they talk about in the episode, but it's on everyone's mind. Let's just go right to it. Taylor Shaw. They get the DNA match, and Jane Doe is Taylor Shaw. And we were talking about this last week. Just because we now have a name for her doesn't mean that we know what happened. Because she still disappeared 25 years ago, and we just don't have a clue. That's a 25-year gap that no one can fill in.
Right. And the fact that early in the episode, they found an FBI file number on her body leads me to believe that there's something deeper, going on with the files and all that. They say they tested her DNA 3 times, but who tested it? You know what I mean? Like, where did it come from?
It was the blonde girl that tested it.
I know, but who? You know what I'm saying? There's shenanigans going on.
I'm willing to take this revelation at face value because it still has a bunch of gaps in it, and because there's still so much that we don't know. Of course, I say that, and I have a little piece of evidence at my elbow that says maybe not. So let's talk about this, because I found this online from Twitter, and it turns out that the fans of this show are some really super smart people. So well done, you guys. You are good at this. And that all of the episode titles, which we thought were just really super weird, are actually anagrams.
Right.
So our pilot's title is Woe Has Joined, and that anagrams into Who is Jane Doe. Last week's episode, A Stray Howl, anagrams into Taylor Shaw. This week's 8 Slim Grins is The Missing Girl. And next week's Bone May Rot anagrams to Or Maybe Not.
Or maybe not.
So it's this little non-rhyming free verse poem that may or may not have something to do with what's going on in the show.
Right.
Are there clues buried in it? We just don't know.
No, yeah. And the Candymen. The candy guys, the jewel thieves.
I do not regret that choice of song. I will never regret that choice of song.
I like it.
It's too much fun.
Right.
So our procedural part of the episode, because I feel like we always have 2 parts. We always have an overarching bit with a lot of character development, and we always have a procedural part. Here's the crime of the week. Here's what we're going to do to solve it. So our procedural part starts with a jewelry heist.
Right.
With these men in multicolored balaclavas. People don't ski in those anymore. They don't snowboard in balaclavas. They just use them to rob things.
Pretty much, because they're kind of scary.
Little bit,
yeah.
Really good for fooling cameras.
I grew up in the Midwest, and people kind of still wear them, but you still look really scary when you do.
Yeah. Well, it's the recognizing a face thing. You know there's a person in there, but it's the same reason Halloween masks are scary.
Right.
So we have this multicolored balaclava gang, say that 5 times fast, calling themselves the Candymen, pulling off very quick jewelry heists. Evidently, it's in and out in under a minute.
International jewelry heists, which, you know what, I kind of like that. I mean, like, if you're going to go there, that's how you do it.
You might as well. So we see this particular heist go down, and one of the guys, whom I think might have been the leader and or the brother of the person who winds up being important,
Right.
decides that he wants to go after a necklace in a locked and unbreakable case. So he grabs one of the jewelry store workers, tries to get him to unlock it, and his brother is telling him, "We don't have time. We don't have time. We need to go. We need to go." And as they're leaving, the brother gets shot.
Yeah.
And they have to leave without him. So, oops, that didn't go well. Because usually these guys are pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, his name was Casey.
Yeah, the brother's name was Casey. I cannot for the life of me remember what the other guy's name is.
Oh, Travis. They were brothers.
Was it
Casey
Travis?
Casey, Travis, and Omar.
Omar was the friend.
Right. Yeah, the one who Jane, sliced and diced.
I'm pretty sure she put that knife through his eye.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, and we have this just really interesting talk about these guys were recruited to Navy SEALs. They had really huge records in juvie, and they were diagnosed with ultraviolence and amorality and a few other things. And so the SEALs went, "We want you."
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if this is an actual real life thing or if this is just something where the show went, let's make this part of the mythology.
Yeah, and they said could be black ops. And, after you get out of that, what are you going to do with your life?
Well, they brought up the point that do SEALs look for amorality?
Right.
Like, is that something they look for? Because we also have this, was Jane Doe a SEAL? And what could this possibly be? And, doubting whether or not she's a member of the team, doubting whether or not she's an asset, just.
Right. I don't know. She could have been, because apparently Casey kind of knew who she was, but, he couldn't talk, bless his soul.
He recognized her.
And
all he managed to say, because at this point, awful stuff has happened. He's in the ICU. He's dying.
Yeah.
All he managed to say was, Orion.
Yeah.
And that was after a lot of mumbling.
It could have been the name of a mission. I was thinking that, but I don't know.
It could have been just about anything.
Yeah, he was kind of doped up.
I mean, on one hand, the show is giving us a lot of clues very early on. On the other hand, they are also open-ended and vague. They could go anywhere.
Yes, the mystery is killing me.
Because we have Taylor Shaw, but again, we have the big gaps. We have Orion, which is a myth, a constellation, a name, a bazillion other things. It could be anything.
Right.
And we also have Daylight. And let's talk about Daylight a little bit, because this is a thread that seems to be... We actually got taken to task by one of our YouTube commenters for failing to mention this in the first episode. We had a lot of ground to cover last week, you guys.
Yeah.
So much ground.
Right.
And it turns out that Director Mayfair has a file that she was the lead agent, I believe it was, on. Is the file number is tattooed over Jane Doe's elbow. And that file has to do with Saul Guerrero of the Nueve Sangre gang. So I wish I could remember that blonde girl's name. I absolutely love her to death. She's the lab tech.
I know, I forget her name too.
Lab techs in these shows are always just wonderful.
Right.
Always.
Right. She's a great actress too.
Yeah. So
her name.
that's the goal for next week. Remember the name.
Right.
But she runs the tattoo, runs the file, is able to get a paper copy of it, and brings it to Director Mayfair. Like, this is so great. Do you remember this file? It has your name on it.
And the
I'll
look
look
on
at
her
it later.
Yeah, well, the look on her face was, oh, dear God, here we go. She looked like, oh, must you bring that up again?
And now I have to deal with you people.
Right, again.
But we see her meeting with some unnamed bald white dude.
Yeah.
Those are always evil.
In a shady, dark spot.
And when it's in a show like this and you bring in someone who is on the older edge of the scale and a white man in a pressed suit, and you're like, oh, you are a villain.
Oh, yeah. And he probably runs something. He's the head of something. We're going to find out. He's probably like a boss or something.
He's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
But he meets with Director Mayfair in a restaurant in the dark. We really shouldn't be meeting like this. Well, we need to talk. So evidently he knows about, not Mayfair, Daylight as well.
Daylight.
And he thinks that Jane Doe should be killed because he thinks she knows things. Well, no, she literally doesn't know anything. She can't remember anything.
And Mayfair told him that, so she can't remember anything. So she's not a threat yet.
But she has information on her body about Daylight, and therefore she should still be killed. And Mayfair makes the point of her tattoos are already in the system. Killing her will draw more attention to this. And I'm more worried about the people in charge.
Right.
Because she's also looking at the people who are running the Xanatos Gambit.
Right.
As opposed to poor Jane, who seems to just be a cog at this point.
Well, then he did say, well, one of the 4 people involved is already dead. So I'm thinking, who's one of the 4 people? I mean, so many people have died recently.
Bearded guy.
Bearded guy.
Let's go. Let's jump from the very end of the episode to the very beginning of the episode. It's one of those shows tonight, you guys.
We're going back and forth.
We're going to cover everything.
Yes.
We're just going to take the most roundabout route possible, and then you'll have to deconstruct it off of tattoos.
Right. Pretty much.
That's
it's a
how
puzzle.
we're running the after show like they run the show.
This show is a puzzle.
Insane.
Right.
So we start off where our last episode ended. Where my notes say, suddenly it is beard o'clock.
Beard o'clock. I love it.
Because that is how I take notes at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And the bearded guy is in her apartment and grabbing her and telling her, don't say anything.
Right.
I'm going to remove my hand. Let's talk. And she beats the hell out of him.
She gets at him. Yeah,
and
she
then
was good.
he beats the hell out of her, like knocks a tooth out.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
pretty rough.
That's painful. I was
Got
like,
him with
oh.
a wooden block or a stapler or something, but he got her really hard across the jaw.
Yeah.
And they get to talking in so much as they are talking, and it's a lot of who are you, what are you working for, etc. And all he manages to tell her 2 things. One, we were trained for stealth. Mm-hmm. So that's a we. So they did train together and they were in this together. And 2, you can't trust them.
You can't trust them.
He didn't delineate who the them is. He just said you can't trust them. Mm-hmm. And then he gets shot about half a dozen times. So that's the end of the mysterious bearded guy.
Right. And I want to know, who did that? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, there's so much.
The people running the Gambit.
The Gambit.
There's this whole other shadow organization or group of people or who even knows going on right now.
Right. All the ghosts in the mists. That's what I like to say. Yeah, I don't know.
That.
Because they're all ghosts. They're trained to be ghosts. That's what they do. And I wish he could have gave her a little bit more information, like something. Just
little teeny clues.
Right.
And so they take him in for an autopsy, and he is also a ghost in the machine. There's no prints. There's nothing. No dental records. There's nothing they can pull up.
No, nothing.
So
he basically doesn't exist. Pretty much like her.
Yeah, just without the tattoos and the consent issues.
Yeah.
I still feel so bad for her.
I know.
Because then we have another talk with the therapist. And I love that she has these little talks with the doctor. I love that we get at least one per episode.
Yeah.
And that we take some time to kind of look at her as a character and talk about how she's doing. And it's not just action, solve the crime.
Right.
And he was asking her, I have it in my notes somewhere.
Yeah. Well, he was
talking to her about the break-in and saying that, even if you don't consider your home, a break-in can be considered very intimate violations. Mm-hmm. And she talks about, I have no memories. I have tattoos all over my body. A break-in at my safe house is the least intimate of my violations.
Right. And then he asks her, do you feel safe? She's like, are you kidding me?
He says, do you feel safe? She says, I can handle myself. He said, that's not the question I asked. Mm-hmm. Do you trust the FBI to keep you safe? And this is after she's had mysterious bearded man tell her, don't trust them.
Right.
But whether he means don't trust the FBI or don't trust the mysterious shadow organization that trained us, we just don't know.
Well, I don't think she has to trust the FBI because she can handle herself. I mean, she has to trust them to sort of unravel this for her because she doesn't know memory. But she's pretty tough. She can handle herself as far as, the physical stuff goes and somebody tracking her down and things like that.
She is, but I do think she needs a support network, and I do think she needs a handler. And at this point, Kurt he's her partner, but at this point, he's also kind of her handler. Mm-hmm. Stay here, do this, figure things out, etc. Right. And he has... We're going to see this get a little crazy. He has so much baggage pertaining to Jane this whole episode because he's thinking she could be Taylor. Mm-hmm. I need to keep her out of the line of fire.
Right.
And that's clouding his judgment.
Mm-hmm. He may even blame himself for that. Somehow like he couldn't save Taylor or something. I don't know. We're going to find out probably. But he seems to be really invested. I mean, I know it's his childhood friend. When you're 10 or something like that, but he just seems heavily invested.
But remember that his dad was also accused of kidnapping and murdering
very true.
her.
Right. So his family was kind of torn apart behind all that. So, that's true. I guess, that is the heavy investment, but,
Well, her disappearance tore up his life.
Yeah.
So that...
And then she's back.
Like, hi, where you been? Good question.
I know. I have no idea. No clue. She doesn't know.
Yeah, poor girl.
I know.
So, yeah, we see a lot of Kurt maybe not making the best decisions sometimes because he's too emotionally invested.
Right.
And at one point he's talking with, I believe it's Reed, and telling them, you guys go search here and I'll go to the hospital with Jane. And Reed says, I would respectfully request that I'll take her to the hospital.
Yeah.
And you do the search because you are way too close to this and you cannot see it.
You're right.
And Kurt turns him down flat. Says, no, you do the thing I told you to do and I'll go with Jane. So it is taking an outside party to see, hey, no, you need to step back a little.
Yeah. Back off and kind of see this very clearly. You know what I mean? I think his judgment is starting to get a tad clouded when it comes to her and her, her journey.
Well, and that's why they remove officers from cases that they're emotionally invested in.
Right.
And he has become emotionally invested in this case, starting with, surprise, surprise, why is my name tattooed on your back?
Yeah. It's just too weird.
It's extreme. This whole thing is just extremely bizarre. It's this weird little web of, I say little web of deception, like it's not this big sprawling...
Yeah.
Shadow organizations and mysterious bearded people with no names and ghosts in the system
and meetings in dark places,
treasure hunt tattoos. This is just wild.
Yeah,
this is why it's a Xanatos gambit, because there's just no way you can set up stuff like this in real life. Most people have a hard enough time setting up a scavenger hunt for a 10-year-old's birthday party.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's true. Like, who has the time in their day?
The mysterious shadow organization. They delegate. The interns do the tattoo.
That's true. And then they probably get rid of them. Push them off a cliff somewhere.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. So go on.
Send them to go work at like Google. You'll never hear from them again.
Right. They disappeared there. Google. In the
Google
walls of Google.
is the shadow organization.
Well, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother AfterBuzz show. And
this is how you know that we tape late at night, you guys.
Yes.
This is how you know.
It's a good thing we don't have wine.
That would make this better.
Yeah, right?
Okay, next episode. Next episode.
Right.
So let's get back to the Candyman, because one of the big things that we had here was that Casey, the poor dude who, I say poor like he's not a bank robber, who got himself shot, has a seal tattoo as well. And evidently seal tattoos, they aren't usually the same. They kind of have the same theme, but the details are different.
Right.
Except that this one is the exact match to Jane Doe.
Yeah.
So, they run up to the hospital, they talk to Officer Vasquez, who it's like, oh, he has a name, he's going to be important. Ooh, he just got shot.
Yeah.
You gave him a name so we could feel bad for him, didn't you?
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe they have the same tattoo because they might have been part of the same SEAL team.
Possibly. Same unit.
Same unit, yeah.
Given that we got Orion, same program.
Ah, that's a good point. Right, that's true. Right.
So they were probably part of the same something or other, and I wonder if we're going to have more people with that exact same tattoo team turn up.
Probably so. Yeah, she's probably going to have, a few people turning up, and then we'll see. The way the episodes are going, I don't know.
Well, and when they initially go in to talk to Casey, he is essentially in and out of consciousness because he's been shot, he was in surgery, he's been intubated because he cannot breathe on his own at this point.
No.
He's not doing super well, which is why it's really bad when the rest of the Candymen break into the hospital to get him out.
Right, and Travis is trying to drag him down the thing with the trach in his throat, and I'm like, he's not going to survive, man.
Well, and it's Travis's idea because he doesn't want to leave his brother to go back to jail.
Right.
Which makes sense, but then Travis, you really shouldn't have stopped for the necklace in the unbreakable box there. Dude, this is on you.
Right.
So the Candymen go into the hospital, shut things down, do a cell phone jammer that they've been building.
Right.
So that no one can call out for help. And they're trying to find him, and we have Jane and Kurt splitting up,
yeah.
to go take them.
Yeah.
And so they drag Casey's hospital bed into like a supply closet, which is great. It's like, he's in this room.
I know.
He's not in this room.
No, he's not in room 606. That's Case the hospital. That's going to take some time.
Well, and what's his name? The other SEAL. Too many names, and I haven't written them all on the board. Omar, thank you very much. You are good at this. Omar tells him, hey, we don't have time to case the hospital room by room. We need to go. This was a bad idea.
Right.
Because Omar's been basically the bad idea bears going, we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have done that either. Nope. We shouldn't be doing this. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they go try to find him, and then they wind up finding Jane and Kurt by turns. And Kurt takes out a guy by putting a bunch of syringes in his thigh and just jabbing them in.
Yeah.
And we get that little exchange of, what was in those? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, because you're like, ow. What is that?
Stop and ponder the implications of that one. No.
I'm good. No thanks.
And then Jane takes out Omar by pretty much, I couldn't tell from the camera angles, but I'm fairly certain she put a knife through his eye.
Yeah, that was deep.
Now, did you see that coming?
You know what? Yeah, because in a way, maybe not through the eye thing, but
I was making a terrible pun about the eye.
Oh, sorry.
But please continue.
No, I was gonna say, she's good with weapons, so I'm surprised she didn't take his head off completely, but that would have just been weird on network television. But
and that would take a little more time than you can do with a knife.
Right? Yeah, just like, So I don't know. That's just me.
I like horror movies can evidently be done with an axe.
Yeah.
We watched Sleepy Hollow last night, and that was kind of. What did I witness?
Right.
Anyway, so the last one left alive is trying to drag his brother down the stairs. And he kidnaps a doctor to go with him, which is about the smartest thing he's done in this whole stupid plan.
Yeah, and I saw that coming. I was like, he's going to have to kidnap a doctor. Or a nurse or somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the one doctor we've seen who's already been taking care of Casey. Right. And he essentially kidnaps him, says, you're going with us. You keep him alive. I keep you alive. Mm-hmm. And they make like they're doctors, and they're wheeling Casey out on this bed. And then he has to stop because, oh no, those are the FBI agents that saw me earlier. They'll recognize me.
Yeah.
He tells the doctor, okay, back it up. We have to go back in. And the doctor just looks at him.
Yep.
And runs back into the crush
Very
of people.
Smart. Very smart.
That is the smartest thing I think I've ever seen a fictional hostage do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Just be like, peace, I'm out. You will not find me here.
Man, take off.
He can't blow his cover in front of the FBI. He can't shoot them in front of the FBI or they'll know, and he'll go straight down.
Right.
And so just the doctor being like, peace, I'm out.
Was later.
Bless you, doctor. Well done.
Yeah, well done. So, yeah, that was a good scene.
That was incredibly well done.
And then at the end, he, shoots at Weller and...
He shoots at Weller in order to get himself shot.
Right.
Better dead than back in prison, I suppose.
And I was thinking that also he probably figure out Casey was probably not going to make it.
Well, the doctor was telling him that from then on in, like, he needs urgent care. You can't provide that on the run. Well, that's why I'm bringing you. Well, what am I supposed to do without tools?
Right.
Yeah. We're also moving around a guy, and we saw that Casey had been removed from the bed he was in and the tube taken out and then put in this other bed, and he's not intubated. Like, he needed help breathing, and you removed that.
Yeah.
How long do you think he's going to last?
Right. Yeah, he didn't really think that through, clearly.
Again, getting way too emotionally invested in the situation and making poor choices.
Yeah, they're jewel thieves. They're not, that's not up their alley.
Well, and it's the theme of this episode. Yeah. I'm too close to the problem.
Right. So what's going on after that?
We keep skipping around.
I know.
We're just recapping it from the back forward, you guys. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But since we've hit the midway point either way, let's talk about iTunes. So, if you watched last week or if you watch other AfterBuzz shows, you've heard the spiel, but you're going to hear it again because it is super important to our hearts. Thank you to everyone who has listened on iTunes, who's subscribed, who's left rating, to everyone who has subscribed on YouTube and liked and commented. We had some incredibly thoughtful comments in our comment section on YouTube last week. You guys are amazing. And the best thing you can do for us, subscribe on iTunes, rate us 5 stars, and leave reviews. Yeah. Tell us that you love us. Tell our bosses that you love us. Because if our bosses hear, oh, hey, the audience really seems to like these two ladies talking about this weird show. Let's have them continue talking about this crazy Xanatos Gambit of a show. We like this.
Yeah.
It also helps keep the lights on in the studio. It helps bring in sponsors and advertisers. It helps us continue to survive and to grow as a network. So if you want to keep us on air in the same way that you want to keep Blindspot on air by watching it, keep us on air by giving us that feedback, by telling us that you like it, by telling our bosses that you like what we do. And iTunes and iTunes comments are the best way to do that. Right. And of course, if you leave a review, we will read it out on the air. Okay. We don't have any this week, not yet. Holding out for you guys. Come on, that's your mission. Let's do
people. Let us know what you think. Yeah.
We would love to hear it. And you have some of the most intelligent comments on YouTube. I love it. I mean, good YouTube commenters.
Yeah, the one guy was talking about the SEAL stuff. I was like, ooh, who are you?
Paragraphs and paragraphs of all this information. Like, I did not know that yesterday.
Yeah.
I know it now.
I learn something new every day.
So, yeah, if you guys have any interesting facts that we've missed up to this point, I mean, leave them in the comments, let us know, and, you know, put it on the hashtag, and we will check.
Right. So.
Bless Mr. D Style 90 on Twitter. The doctor's name is Patterson. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you so much for telling us.
We've got like 3 different people saying, her name's Patterson. Her name's Patterson. Yes. Why aren't you checking? Her name's Patterson.
Right.
And Danielle saying, can we call mysterious bearded man Beardo?
Beardo.
You can call him whatever you like in your hearts, but now he's mysterious dead guy.
Yeah. He's bearded dead guy now.
Mysteriously dead.
Yeah.
Shot through the heart and you're to blame, etc.
Yeah. So, well, what's next?
Honestly, I think we've hit most of the big points. The one thing that we haven't quite hit yet is one of our overarching stories in this, and is finding out where Jane Doe fits on this team. They didn't want to give her any arms or anything. She's not certified, which is why it's a big deal in the hospital when everything's going down that Kurt just gives her gun, says, I have another, use mine. He totally didn't have another.
Yeah.
He didn't. We're watching this going, he doesn't have another. He doesn't. And then he takes it from one of the Candymen going, okay, now he has another.
Of course he does.
Just a lot of this is combat scenes, so it's kind of hard to recap those. Like, there was punching and kicking and a guy died.
Right. But, you know, I was happy to kind of see Weller getting his hands dirty.
Yeah.
I like that he can handle himself as well. I mean, all those people probably can, but you know what I mean? Just Weller's kind of in the mix. I like that.
Because we see a lot of Jane Doe punching people out because that is a wonderful thing to watch, and I adore it. But yeah, actually watching Weller get down and dirty with a guy and to put the syringe, that still gets me. That's just, the syringes.
Yeah.
But these are some incredibly well choreographed fight scenes. And for having a show that's very grounded in reality, as much as it can be, they're very creative fight scenes as well.
Right.
So that is fun to watch.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out where Jane Doe fits in. We still haven't quite got a handle on her skill set. We know she's an asset, but does she have any motivations? Does she remember anything? We just don't know.
Yeah. And the fact that they gave her clearance to have a weapon. I mean, with her background, I can see that, but in the real world, would that really happen? I don't know.
In the real world, would any of this really happen?
Hey, you know, you never know. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. You never know.
Yeah, but the second naked tattooed woman show up in duffel bags in Times Square.
Times Square. Yeah. That would be interesting, though.
I either need more wine or less.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What about...
Could this actually happen in real life? God, I hope not. This is like dominoes of doom.
No, I mean, the fact that they gave her a weapon. I mean, because, you know, she is hell-bent on figuring this thing out.
We already know that she's capable, and Mayfair made the comment about you'll have to pass field certifications, of course, and that she's not very good at staying put and not being involved in the action because, again, emotionally invested in this case for very, very good reason.
Right.
So I can see why they did that, and this is also part of the character building and part of building the mythos of the show and part of just saying, okay, here's where we are. Let's build on that.
Right.
We have a name, we have an identity, kind of, sort of ish, and we have her place in the team now, or at least part of it. And hopefully that will bypass Reed's little, I still don't trust her. No, really, guys, I don't trust her bit. And it will Kurt made a really good point about we need to actually figure out what her role is. We can't make these decisions on the fly. It doesn't go well. And so them actually getting protocols set in place and getting her certified as a member of a team is something that, any team would do in real life. So this is incredibly smart of them to put this foundation in.
Yeah. She's going to be a really good asset, I think. Just, as long as she can keep a clear head and not get, go from 0 to crazy in 2.2 seconds like she has been in the last couple episodes. But that's her deal. And I think she's kind of wired a certain way because she has disappeared for a number of years, and whoever took her trained her, and I think that's how she's wired. I don't know. That's just my interpretation.
I think we're getting closer to predictions and theories at this point. So, do you have any final thoughts on this episode?
No, but we can get into predictions. Go ahead. I'm interested in see what you think.
All right, let's roll into predictions then.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I love the light show. If you're listening on iTunes, you are missing a wonderful little light show.
I know. It's so cute. I'm such a goofball, though.
We're having a little light switch rave in here.
Yeah.
So, as far as specifics go, we saw our preview for next week's episode, and we see that she has blacklight tattoos. Oh my gosh.
On her face.
On her face.
That's craziness.
Because blacklight tattoos, as far as I know, and I'm not huge on the tattooing scene, so I could be wrong on this, but blacklight tattoos are a relatively new thing, and they're also something that need to be touched up fairly often.
Really?
But they don't show up in real light, and then you walk into a club or wherever and suddenly you have tattoos all over the place. They only show up under a blacklight because it's a certain kind of ink. So to have that figured into this is really interesting.
Very. I would have never saw that coming.
Yeah. And so I don't even know whose idea this was, or, oh, hey, let's put Jane Doe under a blacklight and see what happens. Oh my God, there's barcodes on her face.
Right.
It looks like serial numbers, and according to the preview, each of them corresponds with a highly infectious disease.
Great.
Yeah, one of those episodes.
Just great.
So it looks like we're going to have a containment, I believe is the word I'm looking for, episode. Right. Trying to figure out who has the diseases and what they're using them for and where they're going and can we stop them and all that fun stuff. But this show has gotten really good at taking, okay, here's kind of our usual plot line, and going, let's put a few right angles in it and really screw people up.
Right, because now, first we were doing like the other stuff that they were doing, and now we're doing infectious diseases in the next, like nothing so as of now that we know of sort of matches, but maybe it will.
And it is the FBI, so they are involved in all sorts of cases. It's not like Law and Order, where it's usually the murder of the week.
Right.
So we do have a little bit of variety there. And we also have to wonder, again, step back, look at the shadowy organization, which at this point I'm assuming it's a shadowy organization. That's my default.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And I think the guy in the restaurant with Mayfair, he's probably the ringleader. That's just at least one of them, you know what I mean?
I don't think he's part of it.
Really?
Yeah, because he was going on about who is this Jane Doe? She has information on this thing. She needs to be... The shadowy organization has information on Daylight, on this thing that they're trying very, very hard to keep under wraps. And that's why they brought up the case file. Or we can presume that they have the info, and that's why the case file was tattooed, etc. And that it's this other very tiny group of 4 people who know about it, who essentially need it to go away.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he is part of this organization. I think he will be actively working against it to protect whatever of his interests are that are affected by Daylight, to protect himself.
Well, I was going to say, I think one of my predictions, I think that we're going to find out that Jane was probably part of the Daylight. She was probably one of the 4.
But I think if that were the case, then Mayfair would have recognized her.
Maybe she, because sometimes they have different clearances. Maybe Mayfair's clearance wasn't that high because she's still an agent. She's not Black Ops or SEAL. I don't know. That's just, look, don't listen to me.
It's a viable theory. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not a viable theory.
Yeah. I know. But you never know. It
just means I'm running on a different track.
And guess what? We both may not know. We may go, what? What if we didn't see that anything. So
We'll get 20 minutes into the next episode and be, you mean Daylight is what?
Right.
And who was involved?
We're
in
both
it?
wrong.
It was Patterson the whole time?
Oh, that would break my heart because he's so sweet.
I love her. She's wonderful.
Yeah. So, well.
We need to keep her. Bless the lab techs in these shows. Seriously, they're so great.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Any other good predictions?
So, yeah, well, we have the infectious diseases thing, so that kind of gives us our procedural side of it. On our character side of it, it looks like we're getting a flashback to when Taylor was first abducted. Because we see the sepia tone flashback of her walking out holding an adult's hand, like a little 10-year-old girl holding an adult's hand and going somewhere.
Right.
And it was advertised as the memory that started it all, or something like
Yeah.
that. So it'll be nice to dig into that a little deeper now that we have the framework of congratulations, you're Taylor Shaw. What does that mean to everyone here?
Right.
I also think that we are eventually going to have massive issues with Kurt.
Oh. Okay.
Because this is his childhood friend. This is this person who's gone missing. This is this person he really cares about.
Right.
And suddenly she's here. And he has years and years of repression and dealing with things and failing to deal with things. And, well, I kind of blame my dad for killing you. And I guess that's really super not the case. I ought to go see him.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see that scene.
Yeah, to pull that whole thing together. That would be nice. Yeah.
Oh, I want to see him visit his dad.
Yeah.
We got his sister and his nephew. I want to see him visit his dad.
And take Jane with him.
That would be super weird.
Yeah, exactly. But I like it.
You're Taylor. Sure I am.
Yeah, sorry I didn't, well, have a seat. Coffee. Wine.
Need a lot of that.
Yeah, so you never know. So, yeah, I think that's good. That's what I think, too.
And we still have people going around trying not to reveal any information on who Jane is or what's going on. Because for one, mysterious bearded guy, when she said, I remember you, he went, that's impossible. So they weren't expecting her to regain any of her memories. So this is an outlier for this group that they may not be expecting. And that they have other agents who are God knows where.
Right.
God knows who.
Yeah. Well,
They might be, again, it might have been Patterson all along. We just don't know.
Well, I think now that the bearded guy is gone, somebody else has got to take his place.
Potentially.
Somebody else in the shadows is going to come crawling out going, so.
But I think that was also a beautiful red herring. Because we placed a lot on him in our predictions last time. And now it's like, oh, maybe not.
He's not around anymore. Pooh.
Well, there goes my fantasy team.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty much it. There's my lineup.
Check him off the list.
He's back on the bench. It's not going to happen.
Right. So now, we may have somebody new.
What if it's Reed?
Oh.
We shouldn't trust her. We shouldn't trust her. We shouldn't trust her. Let's not delve too deep into this.
You know what? I was going to say, I think that one of my predictions is going to be we're going to start seeing the dirty laundry from some of the backstory from all the agents. And some of their, dealings and cases and things like that. Few things are going to start creeping to the surface.
I would love an episode that's just about Reed and Zapata.
Oh,
is that the right name? I think
yes,
that's the
Zapata.
right name. Zapata.
That's what I wrote down.
I would love to see an episode that's like 90% about them with Weller and Jane as ancillary characters.
Yeah.
I want their stories.
Right.
And it's probably not a thing that's going to happen because it's not a thing that usually happens.
Right.
But I'd love to see it.
Might get an episode or something where we see some, stuff that they did, but
Yeah.
that would be nice because it could tie a few things together.
Oh, yeah. And we also need stuff from Mayfair because obviously she has this huge, mysterious black mark in her past and we just don't know.
Yeah, and with that file, it was heavily redacted.
Oh, yeah.
When they start doing that, it was something deep.
It's just the theme of this show.
Right.
We just don't know.
We don't know, so it's going to be fun to find out.
You have any last predictions?
No, I think that's it for me. I think, we're going to start seeing some unraveling going on.
We have run the prediction gamut.
That's it.
We are throwing entire pots of spaghetti at the wall to see if anything sticks.
And what do you guys think? Let us know.
Yeah, seriously. Comment on YouTube, comment on iTunes, tweet us, throw it in the hashtag. It's ABTVBlindspot. And let's see, anyone leave anything new in the past? Yeah, a couple minutes.
No.
Anna Lowell, shopping things on Twitter. Am I the only person that felt the moment between Jane and Patterson? I totally ship them now. How about you guys?
Oh.
Sign me up. Why
Yeah.
have a ship when you can have an armada? I want it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And then Hannah Fitz on Twitter talking about the UV tattoos, the blacklight tattoos. If the normal tattoos weren't bad enough, now she knows that she has those on her face. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
me too.
The deeper this rabbit hole goes, the creepier it gets.
Yeah.
Like, there's no getting away from that.
When I saw that, I was like, what? Really?
What am I witnessing?
Wait, I didn't even know they could do that. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a thing.
That's a thing?
That is a thing, and people are doing it. Wow. You know what? If you have a blacklight tattoo, we'd love to see a picture.
Yeah, let us know. Who's doing this?
If you are willing to post a picture of your tattoo online, throw it in the hashtag. We would absolutely love to see what people's tattoos are, what the meaning is behind them.
Right.
That I think would be a lot of fun to talk about if you guys are willing to share. Yeah. So take a picture, put it in the hashtag, tell us the story. Well, if you're willing, we would love to talk about it.
That sounds like fun.
We have a new feature, you guys. We have a new feature for this show, because why not?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Well, I think that is about all we have for this week. Stephanie, where can the people find you?
I am at Stephanie G 3360 on Twitter and Instagram, and Stephanie Garrett 3360 on YouTube.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's KIAXET. I am also on Snapchat at Kia Prime, and I am on so many of the shows on AfterBuzz, to include Arrow, which starts up again tomorrow, and Z Nation, which is running strong on Sundays.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know your best conspiracy theories, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.